की जय।
जय
नामाचार्य Srila Haridas Thakur की जय।
जय
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
जय
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
जय
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय
मायापुर धाम की जय।
जय
यमुना माई की जय। गंगा माई की जय।
जय
Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
Glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. Reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text 22. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tivram Tapo Dirgham Tepate Loka Bhavano. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tivram Tapo Dirgham Tepate Loka Bhavano. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tivram Tapo Dirgham Tepate Loka Bhavana. Everyone can chant.
Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tivram Tapo Dirgam Tipate Lokabhavanao.
Yatra Narayano Devo Narasha Bhagavan Rishi Mrudutivram Tapo Dirgham Tepate Loka Bhavano. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tibram Tapo Dirgham Tepate Loko Bhavanao. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण यत्र नारायणो देवो नरश्च भगवान् ऋषिः ऋतुतीव्रं तपो दीर्घं ते पाते लोकभावनाः हरे कृष्ण
Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridu Tivram Tapo Dirgam Te Pate Loka Bhavano.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Yatra, where? Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Deva, by incarnation. Nara, human being. Cha, also. Bhagavan, the Lord. Rishi, great sage. Mridu, amiable to everyone. Tivram, severe. Tapa, penance. Dirgham, very long. Tepate, performing. Lokabhavanao, welfare of all living entities. Translation. There, in Bhadarik Ashrama, the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as the sages Nara and Narayana, has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Badarik Ashram in the Himalayas, the abode of the Narayana sages, is a great place of pilgrimage for the Hindus. Even up to the present, hundreds and thousands of pious Hindus go to pay respects to the incarnation of Godhead Narayana. It appears that even 5,000 years ago, this holy place was being visited by such a holy being as Uddhava. And even at that time, the place was known to be very, very old. This particular pilgrimage site is very difficult to visit for ordinary men because of its difficult situation in the Himalayas, in a place which is covered by ice almost all year. A few months during the summer season, people can visit the place at great personal inconvenience. There are 4 dhammas, or kingdoms of God, which represent the planets of the spiritual sky, which consists of the Brahma Jyoti and the Vaikunthas. These are Badarikashram, Rameshwar, Jagannath Puri, and Dwaraka. Faithful Hindus still visit all these holy places for perfection of spiritual realization, following in the footsteps of devotees like Uddhava. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mridutivram Tapo Dirgam Te Pate Loka Bhavano. There in Badarikashrama, the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as the sages Nara and Narayana has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. A request to the host, could you please let me do screen sharing because in a few minutes I wanted to show a picture to the class. Thank you. So Uddhava is getting ready to go on Tirtha Yatra, or continue, I guess, his Tirtha Yatra. He's already left Dwaraka. So this is, Prabhupada says, all pious Hindus will do this, go on this visit the Tirthas. Uddhava did it, Vidura did it, and they all have their reasons. Uddhava did it because of the disappearance of the entire Yadu dynasty and in preparation for the disappearance of Krishna. Vidura did it because on the pretext of being mistreated by his relatives, and he went and had the good fortune of meeting with Uddhava here, and also meeting with Maitreya, which constitutes such a big, important part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is, even Lord Balaram himself did it at the time of the Kurukshetra war, again on a pretext to avoid taking sides in the fratricidal war, because he had sympathies on both sides, so he went on pilgrimage. So this is actually a very important part of spiritual life, and also can be a very important part, especially in India, especially in Hinduism, an important part of, let's say, ordinary religious activities, going on pilgrimage like that. And last time I gave class a couple of weeks ago, I provided some cautions about this concept of pilgrimage. So let's start off by reviewing some of that. Later in the Bhagavatam, when the sages at Kurukshetra Kurukshetra are preaching. They teach us Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tridatuke Sadit Kalachadishu Boma Ijidi Natirta Buddhi Salile Nakarhichit Jane Shabigeshu Saeva Gokara. That three things disqualify you. Not just disqualify you for being a pure devotee or disqualify you from being a pious person, but actually disqualify you from being a human. And what are those three things? Atma buddhi kunape chudatuke. Your atma buddhi, your sense of self, your sense of identification is mucus, bile, and air. All the elements of this body, you think this is me. This is one disqualification. Next is Boma Ijadi. Boma Ijadi is an interesting phrase. And 99% of the time, Srila Prabhupada explains Boma Ijadi. Boma means earth or land. And Ijadi, Ija, we know means worship, and D is your intelligence or your thinking. So Boma Ijadi means thinking that my land is worshipable. I'm an American, so America is worshipable. Or I'm an Indian, so India is worshipable. Or I'm Chinese, so China is worshipable. So this is also a great disqualification. And there's another meaning that is the Acharyas also explained that Boma Ijidi, Boma means earth. So it means worshiping some mundane earthen form. And what they're specifically referring to is not deity worship of Krishna, but worship of the demigods. Boma, Ijid, that you're worshiping something made of earth. And earth is, metal is earth, and marble is earth, and stone is earth. So thinking that that's the supreme by the worship of demigods, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically says this doesn't refer to worshiping the actual authorized deity of Krishna in the temple. Actually, he says that even a neophyte devotee, if he's worshiping Krishna, even if he doesn't have good understanding, sabhakta prakrita smrita. So prakrita, such a person is materialistic, but because he's worshiping Krishna, he's still bhakta, he's still a devotee. He's not condemned. But the person who is worshiping the demigod is actually condemned, because this is all based again on material desires. And again, and then there's the third item, Boma Ijidi, Natirta Budhe Shaline Nakarhichit Jane Shabigeshu. That you go on pilgrimage. Again, another seemingly religious activity. You go on pilgrimage and you go there and you take your bath in the sacred pond or in the sacred river, and business finished. Now I go away. And Nakarhi Chit Janesh Abigeshu, and you never think to go and hear from Jana Abhigya, the wise devotees who are residing at those holy places. If you just go to bathe and then go away, or you go to see the sights and then go away, then that's not real tirtha, that's actually condemned. Saeva Gokara. The cows and the ass will also go down to the bank of the river and drink the water and eat the grass and bathe in the river. But the cows and the asses aren't going to hear from the saintly persons. So all of these are condemned. There's that nice story when Srila Prabhupada was still a young man, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was arranging a big Vrajamandal Parikrama with the Gaudiya Math. So Prabhupada, I think he didn't attend the whole thing, but he came out for some portion of it. So he went to the camp where all the devotees and all the guests, Gaudiya Math persons, were staying. And there was an announcement, okay, tonight we're going on pilgrimage, or we're going on a trip to visit the Sheshashayi temple. And everyone's welcome to go. We're going to Sheshashai Temple. But at the same time, those who want to, here at the camp, not going to Sheshashai Temple, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta will be doing some preaching. So almost everyone went to Sheshashai Temple. And just a few devotees, mostly just the sannyas disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta, stayed behind, and Prabhupada thought, what's this Sheshashai? Go see a temple. Better I hear from my Guru Maharaj. And he stayed behind and he heard. So this is the superior Tirtha Yatra, to go hear from the saintly temples. Not that we shouldn't go to Sheshashai, that's also a nice thing. But the point, the real point, is to not just go someplace. You walk somewhere, you look around, and then you walk back. That's not Tirtha. You go and you actually get spiritually enriched. And the main process of that is hearing and chanting, especially from the saintly devotees. And then that was so notable that at the time of his initiation, Bhakti Siddhanta said about Prabhupada, about Abhay Babu, yes, I have marked him. He likes to hear. So that recognition from the spiritual master, those of us who have a spiritual master know what that feels like, and what a feeling and what a thrill that is to actually be recognized by your spiritual master. So Prabhupada did that not by visiting the temple, but by hearing from his spiritual master. And as far as the deity worship of Krishna not only is good, but it's recommended as one of the 5 most important activities, Archamurti, worshiping the deity in the temple. But the demigod worshippers, not so. It's actually, although you can argue, yeah, okay, it's part of Vedic culture, worship the devatas, all that, but actually it's condemned. Krishna himself condemns in Bhagavad Gita, Kamais tastar rita jnana prapadyantanya devata. Kamais tastar rita jnana. You're worshiping the demigods. You're prapadyante. You're surrendering to the demigods. Rita jnana, all your intelligence. Goodbye. Goodbye to your intelligence. Your intelligence has been stolen away. And what's the other? Antavat tu palam te sham. Tad bhavat alpa medasam. And those who worship the demigods, alpa medasa, alpa. Whenever I hear of alpa medasa, I always think, I don't even know if they still make it anymore. Alpo, does anyone remember Alpo dog food? That was a famous brand of dog food, Alpo. So I always think of that. Alpa medasa means your medasa, your brain substance, very small amount. Alpa means very reduced, very small amount of brain. You're worshiping the demigods. Your intelligence, your brain power is very weak, very reduced. Why? Antavatu palam tesham, because you're approaching them for a benediction, something that will have an end. This is the foolishness. And this ties in with thinking yourself to be the material body. If you're thinking yourself to be the material body, which itself will come to an end sooner or later, probably sooner, then naturally, what are you going to be interested? You're going to look for benedictions that are also of that same foolish temporary nature. So all of these, when not done properly, are condemned. But the doing it properly, worshiping the deity of Krishna in parampara with love and devotion, this can bring one to the stage of bhava, going on pilgrimage to the holy places like Vrindavan and Mayapur. This is so enriching to our spiritual life when done properly, in conjunction with hearing and chanting, not just going to bathe and go away. This is also, what's the Nam Kirtan Satsang Bhagavat Shravan Maturavas Archa Murti Shraddhaya Sevan, that associating with devotees, chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Maturavas, going on pilgrimage. Specifically, it mentions Mathura, going to the places of Krishna's pastimes, and Archamurti, worshiping the deity when done properly. These are the most wonderful things. So here Uddhava and we'll examine why he's doing this. Uddhava is going to Badarik Ashram. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that this Badarik Ashram is one among the Char Dham, the four holy places. Let's see. There it is. So here's a map of India, and at the ends of these four of this cross, these are the Char Dham. The top one is Badarik Ashram, way, way up north. Prabhupada comments that it's up in the mountains in the Himalayas, and you can't even get there most of the year because of the ice. But still, during that time in the summer, thousands of people go. Then next down, going clockwise, next we have Jagannath Puri. This is the next of the Char Dham, Jagannath Puri, and then which of course is famous in our line. Then down at the bottom, the southern tip of India is Rameshwaram, the third of the Char Dham, and then coming back up along the other side on the western side is Dwaraka. So these Char Dham, four dhams, are considered very important. Actually, there's so many unlimited holy places in India, but I think it was actually Shankaracharya who singled out these four particular holy places as very significant, and he made his four primary mutts or monasteries or temples at these four different places. And also, I thought it's also very interesting if we look at this map that we can see how these four places, they really frame or outline India and, sort of cover the whole of India in a way, north, south, east, and west. So in that way, they're also significant, these four places. The Badarik Ashram is famous as the site of Narayan Rishi. The Jagannath Puri is famous as the home of Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhaja, and later the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going there. Rameshwaram is the only one amongst them that is presently most famous for being a Shiva temple. It's said, I'd have to look at Ramayana to see the exact details, but it's said that Lord Ram himself established this important linga of Lord Shiva. And then in Dwaraka, of course, this is Krishna's kingdom, where Uddhava came from. So these four places are there. Prabhupada mentions that they correspond to different heavenly planets. I don't know so much about, but it's also said that these four dhams also correspond to the different yugas and the different spiritual processes present in each yuga. Just like Badarik Ashram is connected with Satya Yuga. And what's the process there? Narayan Rishi, they're meditating, they're performing austerities, and all sages go there to meditate and perform austerities for the benefit of the world. So this is the activity of Satya Yuga. Rameshwaram, established by Lord Ram, therefore is connected with Treta Yuga. And in Treta Yuga, the process was sacrifice, elaborate performance of sacrifice by the great kings. So that's Treta Yuga at Rameshwaram, established by Lord Ramachandra. Then in Dwapara Yuga, the process is deity worship, and that's present in Dwaraka. Why in Dwaraka? Because in Dwaraka, Lord Krishna himself is the living, breathing, walking deity that everyone is worshiping. And also like deity worship, because in Dwaraka, unlike in Vrindavan, everyone's love there is suffused with great respect and great attention to detail and things like punctuality and cleanliness. These are all elements of deity worship. So although Krishna was living there as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and everyone was serving him and talking with him and dealing with him, the mood there, that Vaikuntha mood of him being the great king, this is the mood of deity worship. And then in Jagannath Puri, represents Kali Yuga, where the process is Sankirtan. And therefore, Lord Jagannath is there, and therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made Jagannath Puri his second home. So this is the importance of these four places, these four wonderful places. I've never been to actually, and I've never been to any of those four places. Uh, I've been, I haven't been to India in a long time. And even some years ago, when I used to go to India a lot, I would basically almost only go to Vrindavan. So I have very little personal experience with these other dhams. And frankly, I'm satisfied with going to Vrindavan as a more central place. But these places are there and they have their significance. So, but why is Uddhava going there? Uh, he's there in Dwaraka with Krishna as his worshipable deity, doing his deity worship of serving Krishna and living with Krishna and even advising him and all this. He's worshiping Krishna like that. And now Krishna is going away. So what is Uddhava to do? Just like all of us, we worship the deity. We go to the temple and we go in and we ring the bell and we offer obeisances, and perhaps we offer something, some fruit, some flower, some donation, and we offer some service to the deity in the temple. But then we walk out the door, and now we're not with the deity anymore. What do we do? Going back to the most neophyte devotees, which I mentioned earlier, Archayam eva hare pujam yashradeye hate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smrita. Those devotees who, with great faith and with great devotion, they go to the temple and they see the deity and worship the deity. This is very good. But as soon as they walk out of the temple, then their business is finished. Just like the people who go to bathe in the holy place and then go away, business finished. So worshiping the deity and then going away, this is also glorious and is not condemned, but it's not very advanced. It's a little materialistic stage. But a devotee who's a little more aware, a little more self-aware, who's aspiring for more. What do we do when we go away from the temple? Then we have ways of still, when we're not with the deity, we have ways of maintaining our contact with the deity by doing service. Our service may take us out of the temple, but we know that if we're doing some service, we know that's also a connection with the deity. Or if we're chanting Hare Krishna is the same meaning. Hare Krishna literally means the same thing as Radha Sharad Bihari. Hare Krishna is Hare Radha and Krishna, or here in Florida, Radha Shamasundar. It's the same thing when we're chanting. Then we're with the deity, even if not there. And the other thing is within the mind. If you make an impression within the mind, then through that meditation, when you're not with the deity, then you can be with the deity within your mind. So this is the one of the reasons why Uddhava gave up Dwaraka, because his deity had left. If we remember earlier in the Bhagavatam, when the Pandavas heard about the disappearance of Krishna, and there were all those inauspicious omens, and one of them was Yudhishthira said, oh, it looks like the deities in the temple are about to leave. So actually in Dwaraka, the deity was Krishna, Dwarkadish, and he actually left. So at this sad moment, Uddhava took shelter of meditation and remembrance of Krishna. Although it's a Satya Yuga process in one sense, but still it's also something that we devotees do, remembering and meditating on Krishna. And therefore he went to Badarik Ashram, which he thought was a suitable place both to do this meditation upon Krishna and also a suitable place for him to get the darshan of the great sages who were living there, and specifically of Narayan Rishi living there, who were there since time immemorial meditating. And meditating how? Why? Meditating for the benefit of all people. That for all, actually, Prabhupada says in the translation, all amiable people. So amiable people means those who are friendly, those who are open, those whose hearts are open to Krishna and to the devotees and to devotional service. And another meaning that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives is that that word mridu, amiable, refers to Narayan Rishi himself, that he's the amiable one, that he's so friendly and open, that he's preaching Krishna consciousness to everyone and performing austerities for the sake of everyone in the world. So therefore, Uddhava left aside Dwaraka, although it's Krishna's eternal abode, and it's his eternal abode as well, but he gave it up for this reason. And there's another reason. This is described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary, which I'll read. And this is not commentary to this verse, but in the 11th canto, when this disappearance of the Yadus and Krishna's teachings to Uddhava and Uddhava leaving for Badarik Ashram is all described in much greater detail. Here we're just getting a synopsis. So there he says, the Lord thought within himself, I have fulfilled the desires of my devotees on earth who desired to see me by going to places like Indraprashta and Mithila, and thus killing Banasura and other demons, marrying Rukmini, and meeting friends. I have shown myself to those on the lower planets, such as Bali and Yamaraj, when I went there to retrieve the 6 sons of my guru. I have shown myself to Aditi and Kashyapa in Swarga, when I stole the Parijata tree, and to Mahavishnu and others in Vaikuntha, when I went there to retrieve the sons of the Brahmana. But I have not fulfilled the longing of the great sages of Badarik Ashram, such as Nara and Narayan. So Krishna is thinking within himself, I've gone all over, and not only all over this world, but even to the Vaikuntha planets and the lower planetary systems and the planets of the demigods, and fulfilled the desires of so many devotees. But he's thinking, but I haven't blessed Narayan Rishi yet. Krishna continues thinking, and now the limit of my 125 years of manifested pastimes has expired. I should send Uddhava to Badarik Ashram, since he is equal to me and is another form of myself. I will give him bhakti yoga like a valuable jewel as a gift, along with jnana and vairagya, which are expressed by the term bhaga in my name Bhagavan. Then their desires will be satisfied. Though Uddhava already has jnana and vairagya arising from his full prema for me, and has no desire at the moment for separate teachings of jnana and vairagya taught by me, I will produce a desire in him, since this is my desire. Though he would normally die in sudden separation from me, I will preserve his life by my strong Shakti and send him to that far-off place. I will then establish him by my side, invisible to the material eye. Considering in this way, the Lord then imparted the desire for bhakti yoga, along with jnana and vairagya in the heart of Uddhava. So this is another purpose, that he's blessing Narayan and the sages there, and not just blessing him, but blessing all of us, because he gave these amazing teachings of the Uddhava Gita, which are so incredible. It's like a second Bhagavad Gita, actually, the Uddhava Gita, in many ways, where he taught so much of devotional service, enriched with these ideas of jnana and vairagya. Also very nice in these thoughts of Krishna. Krishna says that I'm known as Bhagavan. So what is that Bhaga? And we know Parasara Muni, Aishwarasya Samagrasya, Viryasya Yashasasya Shriya, Jnana Vairagayos Chaiva, right? Krishna's opulence, as we know, Krishna's opulence, this is his bhaga, of which he is Bhagavan. But Krishna says the actual bhaga of me being Bhagavan is the opulence of bhakti, of devotional service. This is the actual opulence. And he says these things are naturally. He says Uddhava, because of his natural prem, his bhakti is naturally decorated with these principles of jnana and vairagya. So this is also a nice point, important point, that what's the verse that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he wrote one Sataka, one after he became delivered by Mahaprabhu. He wrote 100 verses in glorification of Mahaprabhu. And one of them is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshartam Etak Purusha Parana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripambudi Yastam Aham Prapadye. That Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga, that Mahaprabhu, he's come to teach devotional service enriched with vairagya and vidya, with renunciation and knowledge. Sikshartam Eka. He's come to teach this one thing because he is the one Purusha Purana, the original person, the most ancient person. But that original supreme person, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari, he's now come in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach this, and not just to teach it, but to teach it by his living example. Therefore, Kripambudi Yastamaham Prapadye. He is such an ocean of mercy that I surrender myself at his lotus feet. So this is important. He's coming to teach devotional service enriched with renunciation and enriched with knowledge. Now this, we need to be careful how to understand this. Devotional service is not dependent on renunciation, and it's not dependent on knowledge as separate items. Just like, what was it? Pundarik Vidyanidhi was living without apparent renunciation. He was living externally, looking just like an ordinary sense gratifier, very opulent, with gold and a beautiful umbrella over his head with pearls hanging from it, and people fanning him with chamara whisks and laying on a golden couch. But as soon as he heard about the mercy of Krishna, he became overwhelmed in ecstasy. So his devotional service was not dependent on any kind of external renunciation or knowledge. The other story is when Mahaprabhu was on his travels through India, and he saw, I can't remember, maybe it was this at Rameshwaram temple that had happened? I'm not sure, actually. And he saw one Brahmin who was sitting and reading Bhagavad Gita, but he was illiterate. He actually didn't know how to read. He was, maybe holding the book like this, or maybe holding the book like this. He didn't know how to read. But somehow he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita. And while he was doing this, he was crying tears of ecstasy. And Mahaprabhu came up to him and said, "Oh, my dear," and people would actually make fun of him. "Oh, big Brahmin, you're reading Bhagavad Gita, but you're illiterate." And they would mock him. But Mahaprabhu came and said, "Oh, my dear Brahmana, can you please explain to me what you're doing?" And Prabhupada said that Brahmana, he understood that Mahaprabhu wasn't mocking him like the others. So he spoke to him very frankly. He said, "Yes, my Guru Maharaj has instructed me that every day I read Bhagavad Gita. So I am trying to do that every day, reading Bhagavad Gita." Oh, thank you. Ranganath Temple in South India. Okay. Where was I? All right. So my Guru Maharaj said, so every day I'm trying to read this, but I'm illiterate. I can't read. And Mahaprabhu says, "Oh, you can't read, but you're trying to read. But I noticed that while you're doing this, that you're crying, and you appear to be crying tears of ecstasy." And that Brahmana said, "Yes, I can't read. I can't understand anything, But as soon as here it is, right? As soon as I pick up the Bhagavad Gita, I see this picture in my mind, right? That Krishna is the chariot driver and Arjuna is fighting. And I think Krishna is so kind that he willingly became the servant of his devotee. And when I see that picture within my mind, within my heart, I can't help myself. I cry tears of ecstasy. And Mahaprabhu said that you have actually understood Bhagavad Gita. So there's many examples like that, that devotion is not dependent upon this. But on the other hand, knowledge and renunciation are natural outcomes of one having devotion. If you're actually practicing devotional service, then naturally you're going to lose your taste for material life. And then very naturally you will become renounced, not by force and not in an artificial way, but because you're losing your taste. You're losing your taste for the things of this material world because param drushtan nivartate, that you're getting the higher taste of devotional service. So naturally, you will become renounced. And if every day, I don't think any of us here are actually illiterate. And even if we were, we could still listen to Prabhupada lectures and hear it, or have someone read to us or whatever. So if we're actually hearing and chanting regularly, then naturally we're going to hear over and over the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And the more we meditate on it and think about it, we'll actually become scholarly. Not like a mundane scholar, but we'll understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And as we understand it more deeply, and as we develop our compassion and our preaching spirit, we'll also be able to impart that instruction, that philosophy to others. So in a very natural way, those practicing devotional service will automatically become the most renounced and the most knowledgeable. Prabhupada could meet with anyone and defeat their presentation with Krishna consciousness. And actually practically any devotee, any person who's been in the temple for 3 days and understands, okay, I'm not this body, that immediately makes you a more learned person than any scholar in any university. You're learned. And when that person becomes a little more serious, what's the adosh shraddha, tata sadhusanga, bhajana kriya. And then bhajana kriya, when you give up meat eating and give up illicit sex and give up intoxication and gambling, immediately you have more vairagya, you're more renounced than practically anyone else walking the streets. So automatically, devotional service gives you those things. It's a matter of understanding of cause and effect. If you think that being austere or learning something, some armchair knowledge, will give me liberation or will give me devotional service, this is a misunderstanding. Rather, devotional service will give you renunciation and knowledge. This is described very early in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. This is first canto, second chapter, text 12. Tatradana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So this explains it very nicely. The serious student, it says he realizes the absolute truth by rendering devotional service. It doesn't say he realizes the absolute truth by knowledge and detachment. Rather, he realizes Krishna through devotional service, but he's well equipped with knowledge and detachment. So this is equipment that we use in our endeavors in devotional service. And when we give up sense gratification, when we follow the four regulative principles, then we're using that equipment. And when we memorize verses and study philosophy and read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and listen to Prabhupada lectures, That's our knowledge. That's our knowledge equipment for performing devotional service. And because in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti, that means you're gaining knowledge from the Vedanta Shruti and using that as your equipment, as your help in performing devotional service. But the real thing is the devotional service. Let's see. There's some other things on that you can skip over. So even if one is completely devoid of any gyan, you could be the most foolish person, or any vairagya. You could be a sense gratifier. But if you take sincerely devotional service, somehow or other, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach, even without any qualification, if you can get the mercy of a devotee, then you could take to devotional service, even without any knowledge, even without any renunciation. I've shared this before. Prabhupada was once speaking and he said, you simply go on hearing. He said, you do nothing else. You sit in the temple, and when in the morning, it used to be there were classes in the morning and classes in the evening. So you sit in the temple, and when there's some preaching or reading Shastra, you simply sit and hear. You don't do anything else. He said, even if you don't understand it. And then he said, understanding is not a very important thing. That means vidya, knowledge on its own as a separate entity is not a very important thing. But having a taste for hearing and chanting of Krishna, even if you don't understand. Actually, Srila Prabhupada even said about himself in listening to Bhakti Siddhanta's lectures that he said, I didn't understand anything, but he went on hearing. And therefore, he also said, because I was good at Shravanam, then I became good at Kirtanam. So the realization comes not by the actions of the cerebrum or cerebellum or the neurons in the brain firing, and then you become full of knowledge. No, you surrender to Krishna, and mataks mritir jnanam apohanam cha. All knowledge and all remembrance will come from Krishna. Krishna is in our heart. He purifies of all the dirt within the heart. Ridyantaksto yabhajani vidunoti sarit sutam. This is how we get knowledge. This is how we get renunciation. And if you want to cultivate austerities without devotional service, or knowledge without devotional service, this is a very risky position. So many sages, so renounced, they go to the forest and they're meditating and very silent and austere and only eating once a month, or only breathing once a day, or whatever things they do, surrounding by a ring of fire, or in the summer, or going in the cold water of the river in the winter. But as soon as some heavenly damsel walks by and her ankle bells tinkle, all business finished, right? So many times we've heard stories from the Shastra of this happening, and it's to teach us this, that this renunciation without bhakti, just like Prabhupada said that about Haridas Thakur, that great sages will fall down from their meditation. But Haridas Thakur, simply by being absorbed in chanting the holy name, was completely immune to any of these temptations of falling down. And also, what's the patantito najata yusmarangraya, that if you don't have regard for Krishna's lotus feet, even if you're performing big austerities, aruya kritrena param tata, you're doing amazing austerities, and your knowledge is so great that vimukta manina, at least within your mind, you're thinking that you're liberated. But if you don't have primary regard for the process of devotional service, then patantito najit yusmarangraya, you will fall down from that position of imagined superiority. Therefore, this is the definition of pure devotional service, right? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavartam. Or that's half the definition, the negative side of the definition. that pure devotional service is devoid of desires for jnana and karma. And it's not covered by these processes of fruitive activities or mental speculation. It doesn't mean we don't have knowledge, and it doesn't mean we don't give up sense gratification, but the process is devotional service, and those things can help us and will naturally grow from our devotional service. So back to Uddhava. In his pursuit of devotional service, he had this amazing life experience of Krishna being his cousin and living with him and laughing and loving and serving and consulting with Krishna. And now Krishna's gone. So what does he do? He doesn't say, oh, my business is finished now. Actually, he was so, actually, in one sense it was, because as we read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, revealing Krishna's mind, Krishna said, oh, my devotee Uddhava, without me, naturally he would just die in a second. But by Krishna's desire, he went on living. So since he went on living, he went on with his devotional service. Okay, my deity worship of Krishna in Dwaraka is finished. I'll continue my devotional service in Badrika Ashram after preaching, after helping Maitreya, after helping Vidura. So in this way, this is what a devotee does. Sometimes things are just awesome and amazing, and sometimes there are difficulties, and maybe we lose some facility. Some amazing facility we had is no longer there, just like Uddhava. But he didn't stop devotional service. He made an adjustment, and he continued with his devotional service. So this is what we need to do when there's challenges, when there's changes, and the changes will always come. We don't become discouraged. Prabhupada also said, this is in the fourth, actually, I'm not sure, third or fourth canto, where there's the description of the Hiranyaksha and Krishna's avatar Varaha, that when Lord Varaha first he appeared from Lord Brahma's nostril, and Lord Brahma was amazed, and then he grew up into a huge size. So Lord Brahma was completely amazed and completely bewildered. And there in a purport, Srila Prabhupada says that a devotee may sometimes be bewildered, but he's never discouraged. So changes will come, difficulties will come. And like Vidura, we find the best opportunity for us to continue in our devotional service. We make some adjustments, we go on. Uddhava lost one particular service, but he didn't stop serving. He went on serving in a different way and in a different capacity. And in a way that was also approved by Krishna and directed by Krishna, and designed and was also pleasing to Krishna and also advancing his Krishna consciousness. So, actually in Uddhava's condition, what could be more ideal than living with Krishna? But this not ideal situation of losing Krishna, not just Uddhava, the whole world losing Krishna, this is also part of Krishna's will and Krishna's arrangement. Krishna left, and then what happened after Krishna left? Krishna swadamo bhagate dharma jnanadi bisaha. It's so hellish. Krishna left this world, and with him, dharma jnanadi bi. Jnanadi bi means jnana and vairagya, right? And he took these things with him. So leaving the world in the Kali Yuga situation, dharma jnanadi bi saha kalo nastadrisham eva puranarko denodita. But he didn't just leave us and say, bye, tough luck. No, he sent Srimad Bhagavatam to give light to all of those who are lost without Krishna, without Dharma, Jnanadi, Pisaha. Now Krishna is there as in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Uddhava lost Krishna, but he still has Krishna within his heart, and he's going to Badarik Ashram, where Krishna is residing as Narayan Rishi. So in the ultimate sense, there's no difference. Ideal situation, not ideal situation. The devotee just goes on serving. Prabhupada would talk about, to give the example of the denki, the wheat thresher, right? That if you take the denki, which threshes wheat, wheat, it has a covering, and you beat it and you put it in the denki and it separates the usable grain from the chaff. So if you take the denki and you bring it to the heavenly planets, what does it do? It threshes wheat. And if you take the denki and you send it to the hellish planets, what does it do there? It threshes wheat. So you take the devotee, he goes here, there, anywhere, so-called good situation, so-called bad situation. We find a way to continue serving Krishna in a way that's pleasing to Krishna and in a way that is useful and progressive for ourselves as well. That's also Lord Shiva preaching to his wife. I think he was talking about Chitraketu Maharaj, right? Narayana parak sarve nakutas jana bibyati swarga apavarga narakeshwapi tulakta darshanam. That Narayana para, the Narayana para means those who are completely surrendered to Narayan. Sarve nakutasjana bibyati. They have no fears in this world. They have nothing, there is nothing for them to be afraid of. Swarga, apavarga, narakesh. Swarga, just like the denki, swarga, you go to the heavenly planets. Apavarga, or you attain liberation. Or narakesh, or you go to hell. For the devotee, it doesn't matter. They're fearful. I'm sorry, not fearful. They're completely fearless. They're completely fearless in any situation. So I don't expect to be going to the heavenly planets anytime soon. As for the hellish planets, I don't know. I'm not expecting it, today or tomorrow or this week. And liberation is equally far off. But I have ups and downs in my devotional service. Sometimes situations come that seem very useful and happy and congenial in my devotional service. And sometimes situations come that seem less so, maybe even seem like impediments. But if I remain Narayana Para, if I remain surrendered to Krishna, and with whatever little intelligence I have, and based on the teachings of scripture, like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So I use my intelligence, I use the information I may have gleaned from my study of Shastra, and by also Jana Abhigya. When you go to the holy places, you hear from the learned persons there. So also I take the advice of those learned devotees around me who can also advise me what to do in a difficult situation. And not just learned devotees, but especially devotees who really know us and really care for us. All devotees can care for us and help us and preach to us, especially advanced devotees. But those who are actually our dear friends can preach to us in a very special way. We know one of the items of devotional service is satsang. And Srila Rupa Goswami further describes that as swajatiya snigdha. Swajatiya means those who are like-minded, those who are of this, literally means of the same group or the same class, but it means those who are like you. And snigdha, those who are affectionate to you. So if you have a friend who is a fixed up devotee, their advice can also help you get through these apparent difficulties, because Prabhupada also said that in devotional service, what appears to be a stumbling block is in reality a stepping stone. And some of us may have even experienced that we may get our greatest realizations from things that seem difficult or inauspicious. But in any case, we have to go on. We have to stick to the process through thick and thin, through difficulties and through easy situations. And then we'll actually get the results of devotional service. And we'll be like Uddhava. We're with Krishna, living in Dwarka, so nice. And then, okay, Krishna's gone and it's breaking my heart, but that's only increasing my love for Krishna more. I'll go to Badarik Ashram and continue my devotional service. and also at the same time knowing that Uddhava himself is a eternal associate of Krishna, that actually everywhere Krishna goes, from universe to universe, for performing his pastimes, in those Dwarka pastimes, he's never without the association of Uddhava. So all of this is going on at the very high stage, and also at a neophyte stage like myself, we can also learn these lessons of how to continue in our devotional service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for your kind attention. If there's any questions or comments or discussion, we can do that now.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So, I had been to all the 3 dhams, but I didn't go to that Badrikashram.
You
So
haven't been to
I'm feeling so much now.
Have you been to the other 3?
Other 3 I went.
Okay.
But that Badrikashram I couldn't go. I don't know why it happened, but I was so close up to Lucknow. I was there, so it's not very far from there.
Was it at the right time? Was it at the right time of year you could have gone?
I would have done. The young age and those timings are different. My husband was there, so I would have done that, but I don't know why it happened.
Right.
So
I've actually never been at any of the 4 Chardham. Only Vrindavan and Mayapur.
Had been to Rameswaram, Puri, and then Dwaraka. That all those things I went.
Yeah.
This is the only one.
Nice.
But I don't know. I mean, I shall have that much mercy. But like Uddhava, I feel that wherever I am, wherever I was seeing the deities of Krishna, I am in the dham. That's all I can do. Right. Now it is too late for me to go that far.
Maybe not. That's
not.
For you to decide.
Yeah.
And actually, all these places, mundane people are also going there, but a devotee can go to these places, go to Dwarka and remember Krishna in Dwarka, go especially to Jagannath Puri and engage in Sankirtan and remember the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, or go to Rameswaram. And remember the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Yeah. So or if you happen to go up north to Badrikashram, you could remember these pastimes with Uddhava or Vyasadeva being in.
Yeah.
I don't know very much, but there's some interesting pastimes about Narayan Rishi. So all these things are there.
But today, when you're telling about Uddhava, that is really something. He was so close to Krishna all the time. That is the only place. After Krishna left, he said, just go there. That's all.
Yeah.
I wish for that.
I've heard it said that Uddhava is the most intimate devotee of Krishna outside of Vrindavan.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting that there's a lot of parallels between Uddhava and Krishna's relationship and Krishna and Arjuna's relationship also. The friendship, the equality between them. Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the time of a fratricidal war. The Uddhava Gita was spoken right after the fratricidal war that destroyed the Yadu dynasty. So there's many, and even in the subject matters of the works, there's a lot of nice and very interesting parallels there. But yeah, Uddhava is a notable person, and the Uddhava Gita is actually worth a lot of study.
He is so great. At the last time of Krishna's, he was there and he is watching everything, the Maitreya Muni, everybody was there, but Uddhava from the beginning to end, he was there.
Yeah.
Which Arjuna was, I don't think Arjuna was there.
Not at that time. No, they were back in Hastinapur. And, but they also headed north, right? When the Pandavas retired, I don't know if they specifically went to Badrikashram, but they headed north in that direction.
Yeah. Very good class, Prabhu. Very nice
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Today
Thank
it
you.
is so informative, this one. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Any
Hare
other
Prabhu.
question or discussion?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. The class was really, really beautiful. I just wanted to ask one thing, means I missed that line. The story you told that a Brahmana who was illiterate and
Yes,
was holding the Bhagavad Gita and was crying.
yes.
So can you please tell me the story a little bit one more time, please?
I'll tell, I don't really know more than what
Yeah.
I've said there. I think it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't have the reference at my fingertips, but and where was it? Oh yeah, it was at the Ranganath temple in South India. That Mahaprabhu came to town and he saw this Brahmana. He would sit outside the temple every day reading Bhagavad Gita, although he was clearly obvious to everyone there. He was illiterate. He couldn't actually read. And all the local people would mock him, make fun of him, tease him. But then Mahaprabhu inquired from him nicely, not teasing, "What are you doing, Brahmana?" And he explained, "My spiritual master, he instructed me that every day you read Bhagavad Gita." I can't remember if he was supposed to read the full Bhagavad Gita or a chapter a day or just generally read it some every day. I can't remember that detail right now. And Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, but I see that you're illiterate." And he says, "Yes, I'm illiterate, but my Guru Maharaj instructed me to do it. So even I can't do it, but I'm trying in my own way, struggling to, do something according to my spiritual master's instructions." And then Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, but I see that as you're reading, you're crying, you're shedding tears, appear to be tears of ecstasy. What is this?" And then he explained, like I said, that when I pick up this Bhagavad Gita, although I can't read, I can't understand anything, but I see this vision in my heart that Krishna was so kind that he became the servant of his devotee, Arjuna. Arjuna is the devotee and Krishna is the supreme Lord, but Krishna became the servant of his devotee. And when I see how kind Krishna is, that makes me cry. And Mahaprabhu then said, "You have actually understood Bhagavad Gita."
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's all I remember of that incident. And it's in the CC, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I'm not sure if there's much more to the story than that, or if there's descriptions of it elsewhere. I'll look into that, but that's the summary of it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Anything else? Question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Very, very nice class. It was so, I was just listening to each word. It was so grabbed my attention, and it was really encouraging. Nice to hear about the dhams, Brahmana story, about the Udva. It was so interesting. And I'm just wondering, what was Brahmana's name? Is there any mention about it? Brahmana's name, who was reading Gita?
I don't remember if the person's name was given.
Vasudev or something. I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't remember either. I'd have to look back in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and look it up and see if there's any other information given, but I can't remember.
Okay. Thank
Sorry.
you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very
Hare
nice.
Krishna.
More
Okay.
than his name, what he felt, that was really amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Drona Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Acharya Prabhu, for this wonderful class.
You're welcome.
Just out of a curiosity, you hear sometimes that these sages, are still existing in Badarik Ashram.
Right.
And I'm just, to your knowledge, are there any accounts, like kind of like modern accounts of, I think they say like Badarik Ashram is mostly covered by like ice most of the time, and obviously the austerity is, as you're explaining, quite high. And do you know of any of accounts of, I guess, witnesses of or interactions with any of these?
Modern day?
Yeah.
I'm the wrong person to ask
Yeah.
because if I heard someone say that, I probably wouldn't believe them. So I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
My
Yeah. It's just
husband
kind of
has
a.
been, my husband has been there to the Badrikashram. My husband went to, and he said there is a small temple of Vishnu, small
Huh.
deity is there, and but the place is really very beautiful, and
Yeah.
yeah, it is covered with ice. Lot of ice is there, very cold. It is close to my place, but I live in Himachal Pradesh, belong to Himachal Pradesh,
Oh,
but I have never been there.
never been there. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I heard there's only really a few months in the year when you can actually get up there.
Yeah, if I desire, I can
Winter
go.
they close it, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the road is very narrow. The other
Yeah.
side is valley.
Right.
One side is mountain, but sometimes those snow and other things will
Yeah.
fall and they'll block the road. You cannot go back and further.
Right.
So that's very risky, so they don't
Yeah.
allow.
Actually, that's part of the reason why although I've been to India several times, I never really go anywhere because traveling in India is too difficult for me. I've done that a few times.
But now everything is very much
Yeah, it's better now. The train system is better, and if you get a private AC coach and like that, but it still
not only that,
seems
Prabhu,
very troublesome to me.
where they park the buses, and then from there, if seniors, like cannot walk,
Yeah,
they have like what do you call that, a swing kind of thing.
palanquin.
Palanquin. They hold it and then they can make it sit. Then take upstairs. That's good.
Okay, it's late now.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
You're welcome.
Nice
Thank you very
meeting
much,
you.
everybody, for your very kind attention.
Thank
I
you.
hope everyone's doing well and have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Krishna,
Chad.
Krishna,
Wonderful.
Krishna,
Abhishek.
Krishna,
Devi Chapati.
Krishna,
Namo.
Hare Krishna.